Hello, my name is Charles Helton, and today my presentation is on everyday interfaces analyzed with HCI design. So, in this presentation, we're going to cover task observation, interface analysis, and invisible task analysis, followed by a conclusion. So let's start with task observation, and the object I'm observing is my smart stove/oven. So, my smart stove, we're going to be covering some of the tasks I observed it can do or that I've seen it do, the goals that those tasks are meant to achieve, the interface used to do those tasks, and the object of the thing that we're interacting with. So, here's a small chart I've assembled here. And to go over it real quickly, the tasks are preheating, setting the timing for baking, opening the door to fetch your food when it's done, setting the heat for the stove tops, and setting timers for what you're cooking on the stove. And here's the goals, the interfaces, and the objects. So with preheating, we're going to do the analysis of the interface here. The object was manipulated with pressing the right buttons. In this case, I had to press bake and then punch in the exact time. And since this is a smart oven, I can also use my phone to do it. So, as far as how far removed I was from the action, I was not very far removed when using the actual buttons. I'm basically touching the oven itself. And with the phone, I'm more removed from the actions because I could do it from the living room or even before I get home. The invisibility level of what I'm doing, meaning how intuitive is it, like how much thought process I put into it, basically it's pretty invisible considering I cook a lot of the same things over and over. I have a kid that only eats very specific foods. So in my head, I go preheat, cook, bake, 425, start. It's almost automatic at this point. If I get thrown something new, then I want to make sure I don't mess it up. I want to pay very close attention to the time and the temperature in which I'm cooking. So the visibility of what I'm doing becomes a lot less when I have something new thrown at me. But overall, pretty invisible. And that's for preheating. So setting the baking time, very similar. I'm interacting with the buttons, in this case, the side buttons for the timer. So I could just select a timer and start. You could use your phone, your Alexa or whatever, but I use the oven. You could also do this with the phone on this particular model. And the invisibility level is the same. If it's something I'm cooking, I don't even have to remember the time. I just know. Boop, boop, boop. So setting the stove timer is exactly the same for setting the baking timer. You're setting a time. You're just using a different part of the oven. Now, what's different is setting the temperature of the stove. This is the only case that you can't use your phone and you cannot you have to use a knob, what I was trying to say. So you don't use buttons for this. So you have to actually set a number similar to using a toaster. It's probably the most invisible because no instructions ever say what number to turn the knob to. It just says boil water. And so I just put it close to the highest setting, but maybe a few numbers less, and then whatever, I use the timer. So in that sense, it's pretty invisible. I just turn it and go. I don't think about it much at all. Now we're going to pick something else, talking about invisibility. In this case, the object I'm talking about is backup cameras for the car. So this is a view of what you normally get with a backup camera. You get the actual camera input, and then they could usually give you like an indicator for how close objects are with colors. So the initial things that made it not invisible is if you're new to using a backup camera, you don't trust it. You think that thing looks closer than it is or whatever. It takes a while to build trust. And until you do, you're very conscious of what you're looking at or what you're doing. And some cameras you actually have to turn on and off. Now, it becomes more invisible over time as you build trust with the device and you realize it's actually working and it knows what it's doing. And now it just, when you put it in reverse, the cameras kick on. You don't have to even think about turning it on or off. Now, a proposal I have to make it slightly better is I noticed that usually no backup cameras have numbers associated with it. I want to know how close an object is. So here I added red for 5 feet, which is saying it's real close to the car. You could, if you let go of the brakes, you're probably going to hit it. And then like for the rock is 19 feet and the post is 20 feet. You can go a few seconds before you even reach those. So I think that would even make numbers click better, like 3 feet, 2 feet, rather than red or green. And that was it. We talked about task observation. In this case, I talked about my stove/oven. And we did an analysis of the tasks we could do with the interface of that. And then I talked about invisible task analysis with a backup camera and a proposal to make it better. Thank you very much.